If you have not been here, we started working on notes on percent. So I'm going to fill this out really quickly so that way you guys can kind of follow along. So what we did in class is that we learned that a percent, and forgive me for my chicken scratch writing, is a ratio that compares a number to 100. Now, right below here, it says to solve any percent problem, remember this formula. This is super important. On the graded worksheet that you guys are going to be doing in the next couple of days, this question is going to appear on your worksheet. So please remember this, okay? The formula is the percent over 100 equals is over of. Now, one more little part to this is that the is considered your part in your fraction. And then your of is also your whole. So remember this information right here. You will understand that when we get down to the bottom of our notes. So obviously our percent symbol means just out of 100. Okay, I'm going to skip kind of right over here. As a quick little review, in class, we knew that to write 2% as a fraction, we just wrote it over as 100. A decimal, 0.02. We know that 27% is written as 27 over 100 and 0.27. 8% is 8 over 100, and then this was 0.08. We are going to use the proportion method for all of our percent problems. So if you forgot about what a proportion method was, when we were working on finding equivalent ratios, or even when we're trying to find equivalent fractions. If I have the number 6 here, a 3, and we've got a 9, and we're trying to figure out what this number is right here, you guys learned that if I take two numbers that are diagonal from one another and I multiply them, I get 18. Then you divide by the only other number that is left, which is 9, will give you immediately the missing number, which is 2. So we're going to use that proportional method for all of these problems. Okay, so let me go ahead and erase this so that way it's kind of out of the way here. So now down below, you're going to see, I'm going to move this up just a little bit. You are going to see that we're going to take that formula that you just learned up above and we're going to apply it. So right here, I'm going to write a fraction bar equals and a fraction bar. So if we take a look at this one, it says 8%. So in my formula, 8%, the percent button is always on my top. No matter what, you will always have 100 because percent really is out of 100. This is never going to change. Always keep it as 100. Now, if you take a look, we have got the number 65. But the word right before 65 says of. So in your if we take a look back on over here, our formula has the of right there. Okay, so that's where we're going to put it. So let me move this back down over here. And we know that we're going to put 65 down below. We don't know what this is. So the only two numbers that we can multiply is 8 times 65 or divide it by 100. And that is going to give us 5.2. So 8% of 65, 5.2. If we take a look at number 2, same exact problem. It's different numbers. So fraction bar, this is always going to be 100. 32% up on top. The of is 64, so the 64 is going to go right here. Cross multiply these two numbers, divide by the only number left, and so your answer will be 20.48. So of course, yes, please use a calculator on these. Now, number 3 is a little bit different. If you noticed up here, the format always gives us our percent, then the of, and then our number here. Take a look how different number 3 is. We're still going to write our fraction bar and our equal sign. Now it says 12 is blank percent of 20. Well, we don't know what this is, so we got to leave that blank. 100 is always going to be below. So we do have these words right here. So 12 will be our is, 20 is our of. I will give you a hint. This is always important to remember. 99% of the time, the top number right here is always going to be smaller than your bottom number. So when you get into a tough spot and you're like, which one do I put up on top? Like I said, more often than not, your top number will always be the smaller number. okay, because it's a part of your total. So when you cross multiply and then you divide by 20, the percent that you're going to get is 60%. Okay, not very hard. Let's do a couple more examples. Number 4 is very similar to what we just did in number 3. Fraction bar. Hopefully you kind of know where we're going to put everything. So right here, we know our 48 is the is. We know this is always going to remain a 100. We don't know what this is at this point, but our 64 here. So cross multiply, divide by our 64, and so our percent, 48 is 75% of 64. Now, the next two problems are going to be very similar. You're going to see how this is a little bit different. I'm going to change our color here. Let's see, I'm going to go to a blue. Okay, still my fraction bar. Now you can see it says how many percent of 120 is 102. So this is always going to still be 100. We don't know what the percent is, but now it's got percent of 120. We know the of is 120, 102 up on top. After you cross multiply, it's going to be 85%. Okay. Number 6, very similar to that. Fraction bar, we are just plugging in the information from our problem. Always 100%. We don't know what the percent is. We leave that blank. Of is the 40. That's our total. 30 is the is. So when we cross multiply and then divide, it'll come up to 75%. Okay. Now, those are super easy. Okay. We're just literally plugging in numbers into our formula. Now we're going to evolve into applying that formula into some word problems. Okay. It's not going to be hard either. So I'm still going to go ahead and write out my fraction bar right over here because I know I'm going to be filling in some missing components. Automatically, I know this is never going to change, so I'm going to put 100. So if you read this, it talks about the sales tax on the purchase of a refrigerator that costs $695 is 7%. What is the amount of sales tax? So right here, this is going to indicate that 7 is our percent. This is our box where we put our 7. A lot of kids get confused because the word is in front of it. Well, if it has the percent, we have to put it right here. Now, we've got our $695. So you have to ask yourself, well, is this the part of the cost of a refrigerator, or is this the total amount of my refrigerator? This is my total, so the $695 would go right here. If you multiply these two numbers, divide by 100, our sales tax is going to be then $48.65. All right, let's go on to the next one. We're almost done, so hang in there. This one gave a lot of students problems in class. It says in math class, 60% of the students are males. There are 30 students in the class. How many students are females? Many students did not read this correctly, and they're going to try to mess with you on TCAPs. So we can find out how many are males easily by using our formula. So we know this is going to be 100. It tells us 60% are males. So we're going to put that in that percent box. 30 students. This is my total amount of students. So I'm going to put my 30 right here. So if I do my cross multiplication and divide by 100, I get 18. But 18 is what the males, the part. So in order to find out how many my females are, hopefully you've already thought about this and knew that if I got 30 total students, if I take away 18 males, then we know we have to have 12 females. So sometimes you just have to really read the problem because they will try to mess with you. Okay. Number 9, last problem on here. So Franklins are taking a trip. They will drive this many miles in all. First day they drove this many miles. What percent of their trip did they drive? So obviously you should know that 100 is going to go right here. We don't know what the percent is, so that has to be left blank. It does give us two more numbers, this much and this much. But here's a clue, in all. So that's going to tell us we're going to place our 3,150 at the very bottom because that's our total amount. 567 miles is just the part that they have driven. So after we cross multiply, divide by this, we get 18%. Okay, so these are the notes that we had taken in class. So please make sure you are very familiar. Remember, percent over 100 equals is over of. Remember this. All right, thank you.